So it's really nice to be in a world where you can just go and talk. I mean, there's a lot of times where Black entrepreneurs go to spaces and they talk, they give pitches, they do all the same things everyone else is doing around them, and they're not seeing the same results, right? They're saying, I have this credit score, I have these funding, why am I not getting the same funding, right? I have these, but they're getting this, right? And a lot of times when you approach non-Black people who don't understand, who've never been there a long time, it'd be like, well, maybe list 100,000 other crazy scenarios. And Black people just understand, like, obviously not every situation is going to be like that, but when you know, you just know. And when you're with creators and entrepreneurs who've been there and know it, you don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to go on and be like, no, that's not why. You just, they're like, yeah, I get it. I've seen it and it happens. So it's just a really nice space. You can, hey, how did you overcome this? Right? You got the client. Oh, I went to this credit union. I went to this person. So it's really great to have that network and grow. Yeah, there's the Minnesota Black Chamber of Commerce. Great organization, great people in there. Black Business Enterprise also does a lot of great events, educational things. Twin Cities Professional of Colors. They have monthly events. There's always great to go connect with people. Even apart from business, just personally, I mean, some of my people I just work best with, friends-wise, are there, you know? So just a good space because there's not a lot of Black professionals in Minneapolis. Like, if you look at those positions, there's not a lot of us. So it's really great to have a space. And a lot of people there are like, I never knew this would even exist in Minnesota. I didn't even know there's this many of us in Minnesota, you know? Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me again on the Black and Rich Podcast with your host, Rich Berkley. This podcast is designed for Black entrepreneurs to get in business, stay in business, and be able to pass on generational wealth. Did you know that 30% of restaurants don't survive their first year? And of those 30% that survive, 70% will go out of business after 5 years. So this week I have the wonderful Miss Orneary Conley here to show us how she was able to build RCK Soul Food for over a decade. It's going to be a very, very interesting episode. If you know Black comedians, she has a bunch of stories with some very famous ones. I hope you enjoy the podcast. Thank you. This week we're here with the amazing chef and cook, Miss Orneary Conley, the owner and founder of RCK Soul Food. I'll say it, for me, the best soul food I've had in town. She's made me like things I didn't think I liked. So how you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. So tell me, how did RCK start?
Oh gosh. Well, it's a very interesting story. Actually, I never thought that I would own a restaurant, to be honest. Before opening RCK, I probably worked at McDonald's when I was like 15.
Really?
But I've learned, just looking back, I did cook a lot for family and friends. And so I started at church. I was on the cooking team. I started out as a team member, and I was working as staff for probably about 6 months to a year. And then I ended up replacing the captain and started heading up all of the
Did you replace him because you're so much better? Or
I was probably more efficient. I probably had better ideas. I think that she may have been tired of it, maybe kind of burnt out. Maybe I really don't know the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
But I knew that the opportunity did come for me to take it over, and I did just that. And it, and where it was supposed to be, just a fundraiser for church, when we would cook for conferences and meetings and things of that nature, and then whatever money came in, it would go to the church. So it was like a volunteer thing. It wasn't even for my benefit, if you will. But it grew, right? And so I had vision, and I started going out to like the barbershop across the street or the hair salon down the street and advertising because I wanted to bring more money into the church. And then it got to the point where we were so busy, and I thought, man, this would be a really good restaurant. But in my mind, I still wanted it for the church. And so I took my pastor and I was like, I think we should open a restaurant for the church, and I'll come after I work my job. At that time, I was working as an executive assistant to a VP for a secondary college here. And I thought I would just go to work, come after work the restaurant, give the money to the
Wow.
church, and then that would be it, you know. And my pastor gave me some wisdom, and she just told me to believe God, you know, believe God for the restaurant for myself. And as I prospered, I could give to the church and do what I wanted to essentially do anyway, but it would be my business. And I did just that. And honestly, I didn't even know how it was going to happen. Right. So here it is. I'm like, okay, so believe God. Okay, God, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's up? How we doing this?
So did it start out as soul food right away, or was it? Yeah.
It started out as soul food. It was always soul food. Probably not defined as a soul food restaurant because I was still doing like lasagna and things that weren't necessarily traditional.
More rounded.
Yeah, like, just more. I just cooked, you know, whatever. Yeah. I mean, we would have tacos in a bag, and so it wasn't defined as soul food at that time.
Yeah.
And then I started looking for a space, and a door opened where I was able to actually take over an existing business in Crystal. And for me, I didn't have any money. I didn't want to own a restaurant. I was cool working my job. You know, I wasn't even thinking about, I just didn't think it was going to happen. So I went to the meeting, and like I walked away from the meeting needing like $50,000, right? We'll just say that's how much it costs to do the transfers and doing all of, you know, everything, the paperwork, everything. And I didn't have that. I mean, I was living paycheck to paycheck.
What year was this?
This was in 2011. Okay. And this was probably 2009 because I was on the team for 2 years, and I actually ended up moving into my first space in 2011.
Okay.
And I ended up leaving that meeting, and I was just like, okay, Lord, if it's you're gonna have to make it happen. And literally within a week, I had people like rallying around me like, I got 10,000, you know.
Wow.
And it happened just like that. And then a guy where he was asking for like 20,000 to move in, he was just like, you know what? You could just move in. We'll let you get all of the equipment. It was miraculous. It really was. Wow. It was really miraculous. And I mean, I ended up coming in with maybe about 15 grand from like $50,000 to make it happen. And we were in that space, and then we opened, and I had no clue what I was doing.
So I've always had this question, like for restaurants in general, like where do you get chicken? Like you don't go like to a grocery store and go buy chicken. Like how do you get like your first batch? Like how do you do it?
Well, first of all, I think that every chef or every restaurant owner has gone to like a Cub or like the corner store to get some chicken, especially if you run out. Absolutely. You know, because you don't always have access, right? So like say for instance, it brings to mind like on our Mother's Day, right? So we knew that Mother's Day was a highly celebrated day in our community, and I did my best to prepare and buy all the chicken that I thought that we would need. And literally like halfway through the day, we needed chicken, but Mother's Day is on a Sunday. Where am I gonna get chicken? I'm not for the clothes. We about to get some chicken. I called in a few friends like, hey, can you go to this store? Can you go to, and we're going to like local stores. You pay a higher price, you get less quantity, but we made it happen, you know? So, but ideally we like to work with distributors locally and just set up our accounts and get our chicken delivered. Yeah. That's the goal anyway.
I guess, I don't know why I'm at a restaurant. I don't know why I thought like, what if, I don't know what even a chicken brand is. They're like, that's our chicken. You can't, I don't know. Is that a thing?
No, that's not a thing, because I think that I can see it probably happening if we were dealing with like people who raise chicken, like farmers. You know what I'm saying? Like I can see that being a thing, but usually we're buying it at, well, not wholesale, you know what I'm saying? So like, whatever supplier they've permitted to sell it, we buy it and it's good.
So they'd prefer you to buy it in the store.
Yeah, they prefer, absolutely. They would love for us to buy it retail, you know, because then, we don't make as much money off of it.
Yeah. So run me through then. So we started cooking with the church. Yep. We got in, somehow raised money, got in the building.
Yes.
You know, I think, 90% of restaurants close in the first year. Yeah. How'd you do it?
Oh, gosh. Well, you know what, to be honest. So we moved in 2011 and we had a 70-seater. So 70-seater full service restaurant. We were closed in that location by 2013. Okay. I lacked the experience. I could cook. People came. But as far as managing the business, running the business, adhering to the rules when working with people and things of that nature. I just didn't know how,
Yeah.
And so we actually ended up closing, and that's where RCK Catering was birthed. Because after council, we went back to my pastor like, I'm failing miserably,
Yeah.
And my pastor told me, he's like, as long as RCK is you, you know what I'm saying? As long as you're you'll have RCK. So closing this location doesn't mean that your dream dies or that you can't continue on. And that was like the soundest advice I heard. Because for me, in my mind, in that moment, going through the financial struggles, going through the labor shortages, going through the lack of experience and all of those things, for me, it felt like I was failing and it was over,
Yeah. I want to emphasize that for a second, because I hear a lot of people don't have that. Like, you talk to a lot of people, they got, oh, shoot, I raised all this money. I finally got my dream. Oh, it wasn't what I expected. I'm going to go back to the corporate world.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go back to this or that. Why was it so important for you to keep going? I mean, it's so easy to quit.
Well, because he told me, like, for me in that moment, it was like, I closed the doors, but I didn't close the dream. The dream was still there.
So you still believed?
I still believed wholeheartedly that it could be something special.
Yeah.
Because, people weren't complaining about the food. They were complaining about our hours of operation. They were complaining about our staff. They were complaining about, because my life was very demanding. I was a single mother of 4 children at the time. I just had a lot going.
Whoa. We can't.
Can't see roll past that, right?
So you started the restaurant with 4 kids?
4 kids.
As a single mother?
As a single mother, absolutely.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was a lot to manage, and I didn't have a nest egg. Like I said, I mean, I was broke the day I walked into the deal,
Yeah.
I had about maybe, I think with everything that we raised, I probably had about a 6-month cushion of being able to afford everything. But then after that, it was just like, what are you doing? And I questioned myself, but I still believed.
And even still that, you had the restaurant, you had the 4 kids.
Yep.
It didn't work out. You opened the catering.
I opened the catering. I found another way.
Wow.
I found another way. I temporarily moved back into the church, and the operations. I mean, people from the restaurant, they didn't care where I went. They did not care. They did not care. They came to the church to get it okay. But of course, it's not a full service restaurant, so I was discounting my prices, right? Because now you're getting out of the churches. To me, it's the equivalent of like being at your crib, or being at home cooking. So the prices were discounted, but the demand was too much. The capacity of the church is the church kitchen is not enough. And so I started branching out, and I learned of an opportunity from actually one of my sisters in the church told me about an organization who was looking for a caterer. And so I went from I won't say no direction. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew how I wanted it to go. I just didn't know how to execute it. And so she told me about an organization. I partnered with that organization. I went from being back in the church to making more than I was making in a restaurant. I landed like a $125,000 contract for about 6 months of work that year. And so for me, that was like, okay, catering is where is that? And RCK Catering was birthed. And that organization was actually in the building of the local radio station. And that's where I got my first celebrity gig and at that time it was 2013.
Wow. So who was your first one?
My first, it was John Witherspoon. I guess that's my favorite, actually.
Really?
it was
because of the first, or
it was John Witherspoon, Gary Owens, Michael Blackson, Tony Robinson, and Damon Williams, and we were at the State Theater, and that was in 2013.
That must have been starstruck, right? Like you have no.
Well, no, only probably because I didn't know them. Like I knew who Pops was, you know what I'm saying? But all of the others, I guess
2013, that was pretty early for most of those guys.
Yeah, it was pretty early, and it was definitely early for me. I was probably, I don't even know how old I am. I'm like, well, my 20s, 20s, late 20s. And so I'm not someone that watched stand up or anything like that. So a lot of the faces I didn't know. So not starstruck, I was still, but for me, the professionalism, that's all I wanted to do was do a good job. And so I was so concerned about that I didn't have time to get caught up in the atmosphere of it.
That makes sense. I don't know if I could do that, but that makes sense.
It had its perks afterwards. We got pictures and things like that. So
good.
And he shouted us out on stage too.
Wow, that's great. So how did you So you've done a lot of celebrities now.
Oh yeah.
So how did that one gig just kind of kickstart that? Or how did you go? And first, who are the celebrities you do?
Mm-hmm.
And how did you start getting them after that first one?
So after the first one, people just needed writer fulfillment, right? So as road managers and different promoters are promoting shows around the cities, when they bring their celebrities, whoever they are. So we don't just work with comedians. We also work with singers. We work with, we did Stephanie Mill and band. We did The Whispers. We did Atlantic Star. We did Mary Mary. And a lot of times when the celebrities come in town, they have writers that need to be fulfilled. And a lot of times that includes catering and cooking for their staff and cooking for their stage hands and different things like that. And I think it was just word of mouth, so like KMOJ led to specific promoters and then people would come into the restaurant and always ask, well, do you cater, and so, and even in some of the organizations that we were at, people just wanted to know, did we cater? And so it just kind of just spread. Yeah.
So who are, I guess, just get an idea, what would you say like the top 5 like most popular people you've catered for are?
Okay, so top 5.
Or top how many you want to list off?
I got it. Okay, so definitely Mike Epps. He's the headliner. He's my longest standing comedian that I catered for. So I catered for Mike Epps back in 2013, and I just catered for him again last year when he was here. So every time he comes to Minnesota, I work with his road manager and we cater that team. And it doesn't matter, because he may come in with 4 or 5 celebrities, other comedians, but then they change up all the time. So he's the headliner and he stays the same, but then I may be like Lavelle Crawford or Bruce maybe with him, or some of the other comedians that he brings in with him. He's my longest standing one. Probably the most well-known. And now we have 85 South. I think that they're DC Young Fly and Carlos Miller and Chico Bean are like, they're for this age, for this age group, the whatever millennial, the internet age, whatever age we're in. They're probably the because everybody knows Mike Epps, but at the same time, it's not the same as like 85 South, and so different market, I believe. And then everything in between. So we've done Lavelle Crawford, Bruce, Ricky Smiley, and his Country Wayne. Also, Tommy Davis was fun. He was really nice. Tony Robinson. I don't know that people know him, but he's really good. Stephanie Mills and her band was probably the most family oriented ordeal, right? So there were a lot of bands, because we also did Johnny Gill and Ralph Transvant, and it was like the new edition rendition or whatever it was. Yeah. But when I say working with Stephanie and her crew, it was like being a part of the family, right? So we were like downstairs in dressing rooms, and they were, to the point where they're like, come on, sit down and eat, but no, we're on the clock. We're not doing that. We'll take care of you. And then Mary Mary in the gospel world, but also, we just did Fred Hammond. So really? Fred Hammond, Hezekiah Walker, Israel Houghton, and so Mary, and those are like my top gospel artists that we've catered for, and those were phenomenal experiences as well.
Nice. Have you done any athletes or anything like that?
Oh yeah. So we just actually, yes, we actually catered for Miriam Barber, rest in peace. He came to the restaurant, and then also I want to say Antonio Robinson of the Denver Broncos at some point. Yeah,
I don't think I'm familiar.
It was years ago they came into the restaurant. Recently we just catered for Tyus. Well, we partnered with the Party Girl, and they were her client, but she brought us in as a caterer, and we catered for Tyus Jones and Carrie and their gender reveal. And so they're expecting a baby girl, and they released it to the public, so I can say that. So congratulations to them. And people love the food. And actually, Tyus's brother Trey, who plays for don't forget.
Still the Spurs?
Yeah. See, I was gonna remember. He was there as well. So
wow.
And other people, and they know my husband, so they were, chopping it up as well. So yeah. And then other athletes. Let's see. I think that's it for the athletes. A lot of I would say comedians definitely outweigh.
Comedians and musicians.
Musicians, yeah. Yep. absolutely.
What's the craziest story you'd say with a comedian you're comfortable sharing?
I'm comfortable. Okay, absolutely. So craziest thing I've ever seen.
You can tell me the ones you're not comfortable after.
Exactly. Yeah, because I've definitely had some of those too. Craziest. So I'll say life-changing. I would say life-changing. Yeah, I'll say life-changing. So most memorable. Yeah. I'll say most memorable, where I really learned about my craft and what I do and how it's just not cooking, right? I feel like we live in an age where everyone cooks, everyone sells plates, everyone's cooking, you know? Mm-hmm. And I do know that food has its place, but like my specialty and what I do and the difference that I make, I learned that catering for John Witherspoon and Michael Blackson and Gary Owens. And
this was your first one.
This was my first one.
Wow.
And it set the tone actually for me, because the promoters at that time had really catered to John. He was the headliner, and so all of his things were in all of the food and everything that they ordered, and all of the setup and the I want to say like pizzazz, like everything was catered and geared toward him. And then you have like 5 other people that are with him where we're not really catering to them, right? So it's like a generic setup. So he doesn't get the like linen tablecloth. They just kind of got like some water and cheese and crackers. Yeah. And it's just on the table and everyone's there. And they don't get the catfish, obviously. And everybody's backstage and Gary's like sitting on top of his suitcase with his arms crossed and he's just waiting on his turn and he's kind of disgruntled. And then Michael, he's like over in the corner standing trying to just get some space because, you know, groupies were back there and it was like a community space. And I felt so bad because I kept on trying to understand the difference between John and the rest of these people, you know, because I knew they were celebrities. I knew they were going on. I just didn't understand what the treatment. Really know who they were. I didn't know who they were. Yeah. And I didn't understand why the treatment was different. And so I was prompted to go into John's room and check on the food. And he had fried chicken, a catfish, macaroni and cheese, greens, cornbread. I mean, he had the whole spread. And it's just him and his whoever he chose to have in the room, right? And that was probably a 10% of the food that we bought to the event. Wow. And so I asked him, I said, John, you mind if I, take the food out? And I called upon my staff and we moved some tables around. And that was the first time I watched literally my food change atmosphere. Within minutes, people were laughing. Gary was relaxed. He was eating. I mean, and we waited on them. They didn't even pay for that. We like made their plates. Wow. And it was a great experience. And my road manager said, I won't work with anybody else. I'm only going to work with you. And I thought, okay, okay. And he has made good on that. You know, he is the same promoter that actually brings in 85 South. Really? Even last year. So.
That's impressive. Being your first show, like I couldn't even imagine how stressed you must have been and then everyone's unhappy. Like
I was completely stressed. I still get pretty worked up because I really want to do a good job. And I tell people all the time, my food is amazing, but my customer service in that environment, and even when people deal with me, I'm just nice. And I really try to go above and beyond. I do things that people don't ask for because I want to make that lasting impression. And when they do hire somebody else, if they don't call me back, they're going to feel it. They're going to know. They're going to know that there's a difference when they choose not to work with me.
I know it firsthand. I mean, I've catered with you several times, and I might be late or I might forget sometimes, but you always get it to me right. So I know everyone appreciates that.
Yes, I take pride in my work. It's very important to me. Very much so.
So let's talk more a little bit about some outside things you do. Mm-hmm. I know you do a lot of community work. You're active in the church. Yeah. What are some organizations you work with? Some other things you do outside of just working?
Well, let's see. I feel like, I love BNI. Like BNI, my business networking group, I actually did a shout out to all of my BNI partners. They helped me to hone in on my business skills. Like, I feel like, my path, because I was in real estate prior to actually owning a restaurant. I was in real estate and I love being a realtor. And that was my thing. That's what I wanted to do. If I could have sold real estate, built my portfolio and did poetry, that would have been just it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. For me, did my little spoken word, I would have been good, But BNI has helped me handle the business of the business. I mean, because you can have a great product and suck at running business. And I experienced that in the first few years of running my business. And so that's something that I do outside of running the restaurant. And then also I love going to open mics. I love spoken word. I'm a spoken word artist. Don't ask me to spit anything because that's a whole nother thing that I have to prepare for. Something may come to mind. I don't know. We'll see.
I want to actually talk more a little bit about BNI. So we're actually in the same group together. But I think it's important for business owners, for what you just said, is that like when I work with a lot of business owners when we do financial planning. And what I find is a lot of people are really, really good at what they do.
Yeah.
Like they're really great cooks. They're really great. Whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
But being good at something doesn't mean you make money.
No.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's really what people got to understand is that if you're only working on the business, if you're only working in the business
on
right?
an operator, yep.
If you're only going day to day, you're never going to get that maximum potential. You need that extra group. You need that extra help.
I was going to say, and what BNI has really done for me is, the network in and of itself. I mean, being able to walk into some of the spaces and have other business partners talk about what it is that I do. And I mean, just this year alone, I landed my first 5-figure contract just from a 2-day. I'm talking about a 2-day contract. I'm not talking about a 6-month contract. I'm talking about a 5-digit 2-day contract.
Wow.
2 days, 2 full days, 5 digits or 5 figures. Let me say it that way. That's the more proper way. 5 figures. I won't say 5 digits.
Hey, the check cashes either way.
And that came from being a part of the BNI network. And I mean, and that's not the only business that has been given to me, but also it has challenged me to think outside the box. And when I'm talking to event planners, when I'm talking to different vendors and different people, to actually put my other partners in front of them as well. You know what I'm saying? So it cuts out time. I don't have time to go and find these people that have been coming to me through the referrals. It has really helped me across the board. I mean, just even it has cut hours upon hours of farming and prospecting, and I mean.
I think that's the biggest disconnect I see since I had the opportunity of being adopted by white parents. I get to see a little bit of different world of how things work. I mean, if you look a lot side on the black side, when we're doing our business, like it's me.
Yeah.
Like it's me. Like
me, myself, and I.
That's it.
And the faithful few.
And the few I knew from high school, the few that come with me that help assist me. When you look at business communities, man, like they say, your network is your net worth. Yeah. Right? Yeah. It's who you know. It's the network you're building, the people you're bringing up, people you're bringing with you. I think we have to do 1,000 times better job of, great, RCK made it. Yeah. Right? I'm going to help this place make it. I'm going to help this. I'm going to do this in the community and help build people up. And that's how we see change. Yeah. A lot of times I see it's way too much me, everybody else. Yeah. And like you said, we're missing out on so much money.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like, imagine if every time caterer, Orneary. Mm-hmm. Every time we need this, we have someone ready in our community keeping the money in those dollars instead of going somewhere else.
Yeah. And, and really to that fact, there's been times where I have had, I just had a scenario last year where I had a comedy show, and these are my road managers that I literally drop everything for, and I've spoiled them kind of. They can be a little bit bratty, but it keeps me relevant. And I won't compromise, but I appreciate them, and they know that I appreciate them. And I do like being able to say I catered for this group of people, and it's, and watch them actually enjoy the food. Right. So it's not just, at the end of the night, your food is still sitting there. No, my food's gone, and then, oh, sorry. But, so I was in a situation where I was double booked. And so I had the Cat Williams show or comedy tour. And that was, at a certain time. And then I had another event where there was 100 men through the fraternity that needed to be served as well. And I was so disappointed that I didn't have a protege, that I didn't have someone that I was mentoring, that I didn't have someone that I could reach out to, trusted. You know what I'm saying? There were people that I know, but trusted, invested, that if I bring you alongside of me, when you're in my space, you work for me, and vice versa. When I'm in your space, I work for you, And I think that those kind of relationships are important because there's a lot. I mean, we're talking 2011. I've been around for 10 years. I have something to say. I have credibility,
Yeah.
So, but there's a lot of competition and there's a lot of fear, and I'm not someone you have to compete with. I ideally, my kids should take over my business, but at the same time, somebody has to run it,
Yeah.
So.
No, that's great. Let's talk about a little bit. We have been around a long time.
Yeah.
How we get past that 2020s?
It was hard. It was hard. Okay. So as we talked about, 2013, I went catering full time after I closed the doors to the brick and mortar, and I catered for 5 years straight. Made it. I'm talking about made it. Contracts with Minneapolis Public School District, contracts with Robbinsdale School District, local nonprofits, working the comedy shows, just catering. Always knowing where my money's coming from, knowing exactly how many people I have to feed, getting my check before I show up. When I'm done at the end of the day, I'm done. And that's what it was. And then in 2018, actually 2018, I moved into the old Pizza Hut in New Hope, where we're currently located. And it wasn't ideal for me, but this is God taking care of me. It just happens like that in my life because I do trust them. I really wanted another sit down brick and mortar space. I'm like, I want to serve the people, give me 70 seats. This takeout ain't gonna work. Here it is. I got full comfort food, camaraderie. My food is like, feel good. Yeah, let's talk. Let's chop it up. It's not get it in the to-go box and take it away. But unbeknownst to me, there was a pandemic coming, where if I had, and it's so funny because I was actually in the process of looking at another space that was going to be an event center and a restaurant and like a coffee shop. So you're talking over 100 seats.
Wow.
Mortgage and rent out the box. You're talking about probably $1.2 million deal that I really, really wanted, really, really bad. Wow. And the sellers were out of the country and couldn't be reached. Submitted the purchase agreement, never responded. I'm dealing with their realtor. But when we submitted our deal, they weren't responding. This is 4 months before the pandemic.
Wow.
So I'm talking about money in the bank, ready to close, investors, ready, to make it happen. And the deal didn't go. Not even 4 months later, Vince gone.
Wow.
Catering gone. 80% of my business gone. Just gone. Just overnight. Gone. But we were what did they call us? An essential business? Is that what they call the restaurant? Essential service. And so we were able to stay open, but I didn't have the struggles that some people had because we were only takeout. You know what I'm saying? So here it is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We're already set up for takeout. There is no pivoting. There is no, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we had to alter our hours, and then the riots and all of that stuff affected us. But for the most part, all we had to do was just say, okay, can't come in the store right now. We'll bring it out to your car. And it was as simple as that to be able to continue on. So we really didn't miss a beat in terms of restaurant foot traffic, but we definitely felt the 80% that tapered off from the catering.
You lost all the catering, basically?
All the catering. Wow. I mean, classes went away. People weren't going to school anymore. We weren't able to work with our parents as our partners for Robbinsdale School District, Northside Achievement Zone, different organizations that we've partnered with over the years where we've provided meals to families that are getting services from these nonprofit organizations. And then also the events and the parties and the weddings and the baby showers and all of the things that we do and cater for were completely gone. I mean, we're talking in excess of $200,000 a year.
Wow.
And just catering revenue,
Were you able to take advantage of any of those government programs or anything like that?
Okay, so that's a different topic for another day. Here's the thing. In all honesty, like you've said, the reality is that a lot of times business owners are not set up structurally the way they're supposed to. A lot of times when hardships hit, you start to do things out the box that are not necessarily regulatory, especially if you have family working for you. Sometimes you can pay them under the table and do things that, 1099, them contract work, whatever.
Everybody knows what it is.
Yeah, you know what it is.
Yeah.
You know what it is. I mean, and if you've been in business long enough, I guarantee you've cut those corners. But as the repercussion for doing that is when the government programs roll out, you don't qualify.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
You don't qualify. You've been doing the work, you've been in the field, but guess what? Your LLC isn't quite set up correctly. Oh, you don't have enough. Your business bank account is not separate from your personal account. Now, thankfully, my stuff isn't that. I mean, I've been around for 10 years. I better know what I'm doing at this point. You know what I'm saying? So, I did not get what I should have been able to get because I did have some holes and some pockets that just didn't get filled over time of working and being an owner operator. But I probably was a lot better off than most people who just don't have a clue. You know what I'm saying? So we didn't do the PPP, but like I said, we got a little something. Yeah, we were able to. I was just happy with being able to stay open. Where people had to close and build out. I never had to close. Only during the riots and curfew and things like that, but not the actual pandemic. No.
Wow, that's incredible.
That is. We lost workers though. We lost labor. And that's where we made up some. We took advantage of the EIDL program, so that was nice when people decided that unemployment played more than actually working a job. So
$650 a week for doing nothing.
Man, I was like, can I be? Listen, my catering went away. Can I be unemployed? Listen, I'm unemployed in the catering sector. Okay, don't play with me.
Wow, that's incredible. Let's see what time it is. When did we start?
I don't know. I have no idea.
We're good, man.
We're good?
Yeah. No, plenty of time. I feel like we should talk a little bit about her specific dishes, what the customer experience, like what it's like when people come to the place. You know what I mean? Like, what they can expect. And
did we start at 9:30?
Yep.
Okay,
we've only been on it, 35 minutes.
All right. Sounds good. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did.
So when you go in the store, what do I get? Okay. What are the best dishes?
Okay.
Actually, guys, sorry, can we back up? I'm going to go to another shot so it's not hard for me to match.
That's fine.
Okay, sorry. So, all right. Now go ahead.
So I'll go into the store. What should I get? What's the best items there?
Okay, so obviously you have what the customers love and then you have what I love. And so I'll give you both. So what the customers love is our fried catfish. I've heard that we have the best catfish in the state.
I can confirm.
I would say I'm definitely gonna roll with that. I won't eat catfish anywhere else. I don't care what state I'm in. I just can't. I've tried. It does not taste the same. But I'm not a catfish person. So although I love it and it is the best I've ever had, I'm just not.
It's not your favorite.
It's not my favorite dish.
Yeah.
Paired with that is our macaroni and cheese. Love macaroni and cheese, but I'm not a macaroni and cheese person. I feel so bad. This is so funny because people tease me all the time because I really don't eat a lot of the food that I cook, just because I don't particularly like it. The dish, I love the food that I make because I taste it and I eat it, obviously. And then our sweet potatoes. And so, to my point, you love our sweet potatoes. I love our sweet potatoes, but I would never just eat them. You know what I'm saying? Even though they're really good.
I like sweet potatoes and I like taking a spoon and scooping off the top and then leaving the rest.
Yeah.
Well, when I got the dish, I was like, where's the top at?
Yeah.
Where's the frosting? Where's the sugar? Where's the marshmallows at? But it was so sweet. Yeah. What is in there?
Oh gosh, brown sugar, white sugar, cinnamon. And my own little.
Is that usual?
Yeah.
What's different? What is it?
Probably the butter.
The butter.
A little bit of nutmeg, maybe.
Nutmeg.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Probably, I would say that. And then, but I slow cook them, and the size makes a difference too. I find that depending on the size of the cut that you have, because if you remember, mine were kind of diced. A lot of people compared them to carrots. And then one of the comedians told my son he was high. Listen, this is so funny because comedians are. I'm not gonna say they're stupid, but when I say stupid, I mean they're dumb. They say stupid stuff. So I think it was D-Ray Davis. He tells my son, he is like, your son must be high as hell back there. These look like diamonds. And that was kind of a thing. But the way and the size of the yams or the sweet potatoes that you cut, it holds the flavor different. And for me, the bigger the cut, the flavor doesn't really hold really well. It almost it tastes like something on the outside, but then in the inside, when you get that explosion,
it's more intense.
It's just it's weird. But So I think it's the size, and I also think it's the ingredients as well. But my personal favorites are cornbread dressing, and that is akin to
I don't know
stuffing.
yet.
And like, say it's akin to stuffing. I don't like to say it's akin to stuffing, but that's what people like, you know, when different cultures come in, different nationalities come in, they say stuffing. And I'm like, well, we have cornbread dressing. It's completely different. And apparently there's a lot of different ways that you can make dressing or cornbread dressing. But for me and for RCK, it's traditional. So it's the sage, it's the celery, it's the green peppers. It's also, you know, well, I guess it's not traditional because I don't use turkey. I use chicken, but it makes it taste so much better. It's not dry. But that's my favorite.
Yeah.
That's my favorite RCK dish, and it's very popular as well. But I am increasingly noticing our spaghetti is like getting up there. So like,
what?
Spaghetti.
Yeah, spaghetti.
Spaghetti. Yes, I have spaghetti, and it's like
you've always had spaghetti.
Yeah, I've always had spaghetti, but it was a specialty item for a while. So we have our regular menu, our daily options, and then we also have like our specialty items. So our specialty side options used to be the spaghetti, but now it has been requested enough that it's a part of the daily menu now. But some of our other specialty items are like the oxtails and the pepper steak and then the beef ribs. But my personal favorite is I'll take a tilapia fillet and I'll take me some spaghetti and some cornbread dressing, and that's kind of that's my thing. And I love our greens too. Yeah. So like I'll do greens and I can eat green spaghetti every day. And if I'm not eating greens, I'll eat the cabbage. So yeah, those are kind of my favorite items.
Nice. I mean, I think for me, the catfish,
yeah,
amazing. The sweet potatoes, like candy. I mean,
they are like candy.
You can eat those things forever.
Yeah.
And the chicken.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So funny story so I'm not a chicken person, and I don't know that I batter and I season my batter and then I taste it to make sure that it tastes the way it's supposed to taste, right? But when we just had Emerald's event, I had a piece of that chicken. And I literally sat down and ate 6 wings. It was so good. I could not stop eating it. I was like, oh my God, what did I put? Like, I don't know. And for me, that has to be a testament to how good the food is. I mean, because I cooked it, obviously, right? And I battered it and I made all the choices with the ingredients. But to actually, I rarely get a chance to just sit down and enjoy the food. And at this event, I was a part of the event. So I actually sat down. I ate 6 pieces of chicken. And Ramsey couldn't even quit eating them. He ate like 10 pieces.
I was like, you make it sound like a lot. You get me in trouble. I go to these events and you have the chicken.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
the chicken.
Looking like I'm gonna take some to go
my
plate.
Husband said, he said, honey, I don't know what you be doing to this chicken. He said, your chicken always tastes different when you cook it. So,
yeah. So what are some of what's the sleepers? What are the sleepers no one talks about?
Oh gosh. I don't. Let's see. That's kind of our red beans and rice.
Really?
Yeah. Like I feel like it doesn't necessarily get the clout like those that know, you know, because we can't keep them. But like I think it's like they're like a hidden secret. Like people don't know that they're as good as they are. You know what I'm saying? Like people. Is that what you meant? Is that okay? Yeah. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah. So yeah, it's
what should more people be getting that they don't know yet?
The red beans and rice, definitely. I feel like that every time I've had it, it's like it tastes so good. And people, like I said, those that know.
But you say you don't have it all the time?
I have it all the time.
Okay.
I have it all the time. I just don't think that people realize that they're not. Because like when you think about red beans and rice, in my mind, like I hear people like, I don't eat red beans and rice. And then I tell them to taste mine and they're like, oh my God, these are so good. What did you do to them? I'm like, well, they're good. You know, I don't know. They taste great to me. I
kind of think you should rename some dishes.
Okay.
Like, sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
People, I don't like sweet potatoes. Make it up your own names.
You know, and it's funny because like I used to have, I got away from it when I redid, because I did rebrand myself. So once we moved into this space, I wanted another look. So RCK actually stands for Real Cook's Kitchen. And we were Real Cook's Kitchen. And that was the name on the sign for, 6 of the 10 years. And so in the last 4 years, we became RCK Soul Food because it's just easier to say. And where was I going with that? Oh, gosh.
Why is it so important for you to keep that Real Cook Soul Food name, the RCK, still?
It has so much credibility behind it, you know, because I actually I was thinking about this today and I said, maybe I am actually branching out my business to host private dinners And so it's gonna almost be like I don't know if you follow like Darius Cooks or Chef Carmen, but they're like social media cooks or whatever. And so I am going to have Mrs. O's. I don't know how I'm gonna say it. Miss O something Miss O catering or something like that. But it will be where I go into people's homes so I do private chefing if that's a thing. But for this, I'm gonna host private dinners where people pay and come, and I do like a 5 or 6 course dinner, and that's gonna just be me. It'll be outside of RCK, meaning that it won't be your traditional soul food, but it'll be whatever dishes that I want to display. And so I was going to brand that Mrs. O. Because I feel like that's me. That's my unique, what I want to do, because I kind of feel like RCK is customer driven at this point. It's not about me anymore or about my passion for cooking anymore. It's outgrown. It's exactly. Now it's a brand. I don't get to just make my spaghetti sweet now. You know what I'm saying? If that's what I got a taste for. Or separate my spaghetti, which is, I love separated spaghetti. I would prefer to have my noodles and then top it with my spaghetti and my spaghetti sauce and do it my own way. But that's not the brand. That's not RCK Soul Food. And so when you come to Mrs. O's, that's what you'll get. You'll get actually my flair of what I want to do, the more creative side, because cooking commercially and having a restaurant takes away from the creativity, I believe.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that's really rare to see somebody, at least what I've seen, especially in the restaurant industry, not like something or like not love it, but be able to make it. You know what I'm saying? You like the chicken's amazing, but I like burgers better. You know what I'm saying? Like if you like burgers better, you're gonna choose burgers. But to be able to still cook that meal well, even though it's not your favorite, is amazing. Because a lot of people change. Will be like, I want to cook burgers. I want to cook what I like to cook, or what I like myself, versus I'll cook what I think other people want.
Yeah, but you know what's funny about that, and this is what I attribute that to. I always tell people, and I've said it historically, cooking is God's thing. It's God's thing for me. You know what I'm saying? So my role and my responsibility is to get in the vein of that. Every time that I've ventured outside of it, like selling real estate or doing spoken word or, being an executive assistant, I've never grown and prospered in the way that I have. Like, I feel like if I had to give an analogy, when I'm cooking, I feel like the doors open and there's harps playing like, come on in. You know what I'm saying? And there's connection after connection and door after door and opportunity after opportunity. And every time that I consider doing something else, I know that I'm leaving that door open and I'm also leaving that opportunity. And I don't have the same grace or the same favor in anything else that I've done. I've never met a celebrity selling houses. Yeah. I've never, gone to a spoken word event and sat and performed for D-Ray or, some of the celebrities I have. So for me, it's not really about what I want. It's about my purpose. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like my purpose and the rewards for my purpose are aligned.
Yeah, and I think that's why you're successful.
Yeah.
Is that it's not money.
Yeah.
It's not just money, right? Obviously you want to make money, but like when you have purpose, right? Have you ever watched the video Start With Why?
Nope.
It's a great video.
Okay.
Every business owner needs to watch this video tonight. Like seriously, it's that important.
Okay.
I forget the guy's name. It's a book too as well. But start with why. Why am I doing it? Why is this important? Because everyone, like you said, there's a bunch of people doing how many. So I can type in soul foods in Minneapolis. The list doesn't end.
Yep.
Right. What's the difference between them and RCK Soul Food? Right.
Yeah.
What's the difference between even me as a financial advisor and any other financial advisor, any other realtor? Really, it comes down to purpose. Why are we doing it? Are you doing it for the right reasons?
Yeah.
Are you not cutting corners everywhere? Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why you've been successful. I think that's why you prosper is that, I'm here to serve, help people, and I'm going to do that. Even if I don't, even if it's like, all right, I want to be sweet.
Yeah.
But that's not what the people want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always tell people, owning a restaurant and owning a catering business, it looks a lot more glamorous than it is. A lot of times it's a lot of long nights. It's a lot of, sacrifice. One of the things that I think we talked about at some point in time was, the sacrifices that I've made over the years. My kids sacrificed with me because I started as a single mother. And so they grew up with me in the business and we made a lot of sacrifices. Well, when they became adults and started having children, my grandkids, they get a part of me that my kids never got, you know.
Are you open talking about that a little bit with your kids? I think there's a reality, but people, if you're really looking to start a business, you have to know if you have kids, like if you have other responsibilities, like there's sacrifices.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Speak on that a little bit, kind of what you had.
Oh, the things that I've given up, the things that I've actually, I've sacrificed credit. I definitely sacrificed a lot of time with my kids. I feel, I don't think my children are bitter because, right, they got the cool mom that cooks for the celebrities and I get to meet celebrities, but I know that there were some voids in their lives because the restaurant kept me busy, you know, and I didn't have, I didn't know all I knew is that this is what I was supposed to be doing and I needed to do it, you know, there was no other way. And so as a result, I missed a lot, you know. A lot of times we had babysitters. You know, I remember being at the restaurant cooking, and it would make sense, like, you own a restaurant, and go take some food to your kids. Well, I'm ordering pizza because they're at the, you know, they're at the crib. I'm at the restaurant, you know. Like, it was like two separate lives. Yeah. And I remember even to the point where I'll never forget it. They were getting to the place where they were coming up into teenage years. I think my girls, I have twin girls. I think they were in like middle school. My son was in high school. And then I had my youngest. And of course, the older high schooler is supposed to be caring after the kids, right? Because that's how we grew up. I took care of my little brothers. So I'm just thinking, you know, we're going to repeat this thing. My mom wasn't doing anything productive like that. But, like, you know what I mean? She wasn't owning the business. I'm just saying, you know. And so I'm thinking, okay, this is how we grew up. You take care of your siblings. And if you don't, you're going to get in trouble. Well, my kids was about to burn the house down. And I really had to say, okay, guess what? You're going to live with your dad. And that was hard for me because I felt like I was failing as a mother. You know what I'm saying? Not that going with dad was a bad thing because, okay, we made them. It wasn't just me. You know what I'm saying? So it's okay to go to your dad. And it's two. And I always say it like this. I was like, it's 4 against 1 over here. There's 2 people over there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? At least that can help balance.
At least got a shot.
They at least got a shot. Exactly. And so I let my kids go live with their father. And I mean, while he took care of them, he fed them, he clothed them, he did all that he was supposed to do. As a mother, there was a part of me that felt like I failed them in some way, you know, because, you know, my kids at that time thought I was living it up. You know, my mom doesn't want us. And it wasn't like that. It's like, no, mom's building a legacy and I can't do it worried about if y'all gonna burn the house down. I didn't set the rules. You're not paying it. But they didn't understand that. And so, you know, we've gotten to a place where the business has done well. And they're adults now and we're having adult conversations, but those times were sore spots, you know, and I didn't realize what I was asking them to do. And so, like, having a conversation, like, if I had the knowledge of this is a family sacrifice, right? I'm not the only person sacrificing. I can't help you with your homework. I'm probably not going to even come home until, you know, because I didn't have any boundaries. I opened up the business. I want to succeed. All I know is work all day, work all night, keep going, don't never stop. You know, I'm out the door before they go to school, coming home after they're in bed. They basically taking care of themselves. And I'm not understanding that you need to have some balance. But, you know, I just didn't know. And then when I wasn't doing that, I was at church. And then when I wasn't doing that, I was doing this volunteer activity and that. And so it was bad. But now we were talking and I try to make up with it for my grandkids. You know, not that I have to pay them back, but I don't ever want my grandkids to have the same stories that my kids have. That's why
I work hard, right? We work hard so the next generation doesn't have to.
Absolutely.
So, no, that's incredible. I mean, just even, like I've already said, just to even make it. You know, I can't even imagine. I mean, I work, you know, when you start your business, you're working 10, 12 hours. And when I started my business, I was doing that, and I was burnt out, and I didn't even have any kids.
Absolutely.
So I can't imagine.
Oh gosh,
it's like
I was stir crazy. Like, what's my name? What?
It's like the boat's already sinking. You're throwing 4 babies in.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, and realistically, I mean, I didn't have a game plan. I didn't have any savings. I didn't have any personal savings. The restaurant was cool; it had a cushion, but I wasn't able to take a paycheck. So we not only was mom not there, we were broke. You know, we had no money yet, you know? I mean, because, you have to, I probably didn't take a real paycheck, probably 2.5 years in, you know? And people weren't lined up to give me money. Like you said, most restaurants fell within the first 2 years. So they're like, oh, come back in 2 years. Yeah. Come back in 2 years. Come back. I couldn't get nothing from nobody, you know? So
what would be, if you had, gonna be a hard one, but if you had one advice to give a new restaurant when they start, what would it be?
Know your plan, work your plan. I find that as entrepreneurs, we have great ideas. We put pen to paper, and then we do the total opposite of what we just sat and thought through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, because on paper and on the plan, it works if you work the plan. But a lot of times, the work that you actually lay out for yourself is probably the hardest route, right? It's probably the most detailed route, right? Requires the most sacrifice because you're adhering to the rules that you set in place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to fall off the plan. And then you fall off the plan and create a disaster. And if you would have just worked the plan, you would have got there. So work the plan. Develop the plan. Work the plan. Stick to the plan. Follow the plan. It's the plan. You know what I'm saying? Like that's it.
So how would someone, if they want to cater, obviously you have the storefront,
Yep.
the hours there, how can we get RCK?
Okay. So, so catering is definitely different from the store hours. So catering inquiries can go directly to my email. That's going to be the most thorough way of getting a response is to M as in Mary, S as in Sam, OROG as in George, ERS @gmail.com. So Miss O Rogers @gmail.com for all catering inquiries.
And is there a minimum on catering?
Not really, because we have an a la carte option as well. So we have, so the small pans will feed up to 20 people. And so I would say minimally, you probably want 10 to 20. I mean, we have sizes for every category. So really, you can piece things together for yourself. As far as hiring our staff and having our staff come out and actually serve in an environment or serve at your place, we require a minimum of 25 people.
So if you actually want to come out for everybody, you need 25.
Yes. So you can get food for your 25, but to actually have our staff come on site and cater
25.
to, you need at least 25 people.
All right.
And usually there's a budget minimum. I don't know that offhand because it just depends on what you're pairing together. We have so many options. So, but 25 minimally.
And then do you deliver?
So for catering, yes. So if we cater and we need to do a drop off, there's tiered pricing. So if we're just delivering it and we hand it off when we get there, there's a price. If we come inside and we carry it upstairs and we put it on warmers and we set you up to be able to serve your own guests, there's a price associated at that level as well. And then if we come and we deliver and we set up and we serve and then we break down and take everything with us, there's another price. You know what I'm saying? And usually our service, depending on if it's plated or if it's buffet, I mean, there's a lot of different details that go into the price points, but we offer all those service packages. Or you can just come inside the store and pick it up. Yeah. If you're coming to the store for the restaurant and you're just ordering off the menu, walking in, well, that's pickup. But we also offer delivery through like DoorDash. We're on DoorDash. We're on Uber Eats. We're also on Chow Now, which is our own platform for delivery services as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have the catering. We have the store opening. Mm-hmm. What are your hours generally, or do you have average hours? You don't even want to go.
Our average hours. Okay. I like average hours. So, so now our hours are Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, noon to 8 p.m. We take our last order at 7:50. You're not walking in the store at 8 o'clock and keeping me there at 8:30. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to do that. And then on Wednesdays, we open at noon. We close at 5. And that's been historically. And then we're introducing Sundays. And Sundays will be by reservation only. And I'm trying to figure out if I'll have people come into the restaurant and we'll serve them. I kind of want to make it exclusive and give them that A-list experience. But we will be open to the public on Sundays as well. So that's coming back. I haven't done that since 2011.
Right.
So
and I'm not sure exactly when this is going to air, but please look at the website, even if these times are there, especially if you're driving.
Yeah, absolutely. That's sound advice.
All right, that's our episode. Thank you for listening. If you want additional resources, please go to my website, richberkley.com. I have different resources on how to budget, how to pay off loans, how to save for retirement, and other things. As well as, if you want to be on a podcast, you think you have an interesting business or interesting story, please reach out to me. My information is on my website. So if you go on my website, I have information on my number, email, and a link to schedule meetings with me. Thank you, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
MBC.